What's going on, baseball fans? Before we dive into what could be the most exciting prospect story for this organization heading into next season, I need you to hit that subscribe button right now because we're tracking every move this front office makes, every prospect that's getting ready to break through, and every free agent target that could reshape this roster. Turn on those notifications. We've got daily content coming your way, and with spring training just a few months out, you cannot afford to miss a single update. Let's get into it. The Brandon Nimmo trade absolutely shocked everyone. A franchise cornerstone, a guy who's been with this organization for years, suddenly dealt to the Rangers for Marcus Semien. On the surface, it's about solidifying second base, improving the defense, and bringing in veteran leadership. But there's another layer to this move that's not getting enough attention, and it might be the most important part of the entire transaction. The Mets just cleared a path for Carson Benge to make the major league roster potentially as soon as opening day, and if you've been following this kid's development, you know exactly why that's a massive deal. Carson Benge is ranked as the number 2 prospect in the entire Mets organization and number 21 overall according to MLB Pipeline. Those rankings exist for a reason. This kid can flat out play. Last season, he climbed 3 levels in his first full year of professional baseball. 3 levels. That's not something that happens unless you're legitimately special. He's shown advanced plate discipline, legitimate power potential, and the kind of athletic ability in center field that makes scouts start using words like impact player and future star. With Nimmo now in Texas, there's suddenly a clear opening in the outfield, and Benge is the obvious internal candidate to fill it. David Stearns basically said as much in his press conference after the trade. He talked about creating flexibility and opportunity for young outfielders in the system who are talented and deserve major league playing time. Then he mentioned Benge by name when listing the current outfield situation, putting him right behind Juan Soto and ahead of veterans like Jeff McNeil. That's not accidental. That's the front office telling you exactly what they're thinking. Benge is in the mix for significant playing time next season, and depending on how spring training goes, he could be the starting center fielder on opening day. Now, here's where things get complicated, and this is what we need to talk about. The Mets are heavily pursuing Cody Bellinger in free agency. Bellinger is a proven major league talent who can play center field, hit for power, get on base, and provide veteran stability. He hit 29 home runs last season with an .813 OPS. He's exactly the kind of player a contending team wants in their lineup. But if the Mets sign Bellinger, what happens to Benge? Does he start the year in the minors getting everyday at-bats? Does he make the roster in platoon? Does Bellinger move to left field to accommodate him? These are legitimate questions that impact both short-term roster construction and long-term player development. Let's think through the scenarios. If the Mets sign Bellinger and put him in center, then Benge probably starts the year in AAA, getting regular playing time and developing his skills against advanced competition. That's not the worst thing in the world. He's still young. There's no need to rush him, and keeping him in the minors for a few more months ensures he's getting 500 at-bats instead of sitting on the bench. But if Bellinger is willing to play left field, which he did for most of last year with the Yankees anyway, then you could have Benge in center from day one. That gives you a dynamic young player getting major league experience while still having the veteran presence and production from Bellinger in the lineup. The Kyle Tucker possibility adds another wrinkle. Tucker is one of the best outfielders in baseball, but he's not a center fielder at this stage of his career. If the Mets somehow land Tucker, he's playing left field, which means center is wide open for either Bellinger if they sign him too, or for Benge if they don't. Tucker would cost somewhere around $400 million, so that's a massive financial commitment that would probably preclude them from also adding Bellinger. In that scenario, Benge becomes even more critical because he'd be the primary center field option unless they go out and find another veteran on a cheaper deal. Jeff McNeil's future is another piece of this puzzle. With Marcus Semien now at second base and the infield basically set with Lindor at short and Beatty at third, McNeil doesn't really have a natural position anymore. He had a down year last season, hitting .243 with a .746 OPS. Those are below average numbers for a corner outfielder, which is where he'd have to play if he stays with the team. My guess is McNeil gets traded at some point this offseason or early in the season. The Mets need to clear salary and roster space, and moving McNeil accomplishes both while opening up more opportunity for younger players like Benge. Tyrone Taylor is also on the roster, and while he's got a cannon for an arm and plays solid defense, his offensive numbers last year were brutal. 223 average, 598 OPS. That's not major league caliber production. He's a fourth outfielder at best, someone you use in late game defensive situations or to give your regulars a day off. But he absolutely should not be taking at bats away from Carson Benge. If Benge is ready, and all indications are that he is or will be very soon, then you let him play. You let him learn at the major league level. You give him the opportunity to succeed or fail on the biggest stage, because that's how young players develop into stars. Here's my take on the entire situation, and I think this is where the front office is heading. The Mets are going all in on trying to sign Cody Bellinger. They love him, they think he fits perfectly, and they have the money to make it happen. If they land Bellinger, he plays left field, Benge starts in center, and Soto is in right. That's a really strong outfield, both offensively and defensively. If they don't get Bellinger but somehow land Kyle Tucker, then Tucker goes to left, Benge is in center, and Soto is in right. Still a very good outfield, just constructed differently. And if they miss on both Bellinger and Tucker, then Benge is definitely in center field from day one, because they're not going to trot out Jeff McNeil and Tyrone Taylor as their primary outfield options on a team with championship aspirations. The beauty of having a prospect like Benge ready to contribute is that it gives you flexibility. You don't have to overpay for a veteran just to fill a hole because you have an internal option who might end up being better anyway. Benge represents upside, cost control, and long-term stability. Those are all things that matter in roster construction, especially when you're already spending big money elsewhere. And let's be honest, the Mets have spent aggressively this offseason and will likely continue to do so. Having a cheap, controlled asset like Benge, who can produce at a high level, is incredibly valuable. Jet Williams is another name worth mentioning here. He's the third-ranked prospect in the system, and while he's primarily an infielder, he has the athleticism to play multiple positions, including the outfield if necessary. But the Mets seem committed to developing him as a middle infielder, either at second base once Semien's deal is up, or at shortstop if Lindor ever moves positions. Williams is a few years away from being major league ready, but he represents another wave of young talent coming through the system. Between Benge, Williams, and whoever else emerges over the next few years, the Mets are building something sustainable, not just trying to win right now. The key for the front office is balancing immediate competitiveness with long-term sustainability. You can't sacrifice the future for the present, but you also can't waste a window with Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor, and other core pieces in their primes. Trading Nimmo for Semien was about winning now, while also creating space for the next generation. Signing Bellinger or Tucker would be about adding another impact bat to an already strong lineup. And promoting Benge when he's ready is about ensuring that the pipeline continues producing major league talent year after year. Spring training is going to be absolutely critical for Carson Benge. That's where he'll get his chance to show the coaching staff and front office that he's ready for the big leagues. If he hits, if he plays good defense, if he looks comfortable and confident, then he's making the roster. If there are still some rough edges or areas that need refinement, then maybe he starts the year in AAA and gets called up in May or June. Either way, his major league debut is coming soon, and when it does, it's going to be one of the most exciting moments for this fan base in years. So here's what I need from you. Drop a comment right now telling me what you think the outfield should look like on opening day. Do you want to see Carson Benge starting in center field from day one? Do you think the Mets should sign Cody Bellinger and move him to left? Are you all in on trying to land Kyle Tucker, even if it means spending $400 million? Let's get a real conversation going, because this is one of the most fascinating roster decisions the front office will make all offseason. Hit that like button if you're excited about the future of this organization. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? We've got so much more to cover as we get closer to spring training. Until next time, let's see how this all plays out.